Hello, I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and this episode is dedicated towards filmmakers, video editors, or just content creators that use video specifically. Now, it stems from the idea that sometimes when you export video, it can mess up, right? And especially if it's a complicated project with lots of effects, or just a longer project in general, like a feature film, that can be problematic because then essentially you've lost everything, right? Well, that is the case if you are exporting out in a video sequence, right? Something like an H.264 or QuickTime or something along those lines, right? However, this does not happen if you are exporting out an image sequence, right? So let's take a step back. A video, right, ultimately is just a series of images strung together, right? What we call frames. You know, if it's 30 frames per second, that means there's 30 pictures that make up 1 second of that video, and so on, right? And so, when we export out video, it is a sort of a container in that way where, you know, interprets those images and creates this moving picture, right? But you can actually export out individual pictures called an image sequence, and that way, the benefit of that is by exporting it that way, it's literally exporting frame by frame by frame by frame. And if it happens to mess up midway through, that's okay, because you still have that half that it did complete, and then you could essentially just start it from where it didn't complete and continue on, right? And this is especially useful with VFX shots, graphics, and things of that nature. What it's not beneficial for is the final export, right? Meaning that by the nature of it, this export does not include the audio. It's just a series of pictures that then, you can re-import into any editing program and say, hey, this series of pictures, consider that an image sequence, aka make it a video, right? But it is very helpful in that way. I know you might be thinking, okay, well, that doesn't benefit me if I'm working on, if I need to export out a video and upload it to YouTube. No, you're correct. That would not really help you. And it's not intended to be your final export. But in many instances, it is very beneficial. Like I said, if with VFX artists that I work with, I want to make sure that I send them a very high quality. And, oftentimes they're large files and things like that. And so they're render intensive. And so I can export out the image sequence and they could import it, because if they're just dealing with VFX stuff, they don't really need audio. I might send them a smaller file just for reference so they could see it, but they don't really need the audio, right? So that's what it's beneficial for. Also, it's great to create like a master video string out for yourself. Meaning, I was actually joking with my friend Jonathan Moulton, who's in addition to a cinematographer on my latest feature film, he's also just an incredible visual effects whiz person. And I was joking, like, man, I sure hope the render doesn't mess up on Avatar 2, because, if you work in effects heavy videos, right, you know that it takes a while to render those things out. And then you can imagine, like there's a famous story in Toy Story 3. There was one frame that took 7 hours to render out, right? And when you have 24 frames a second, and you have to have that, that's just 1 second, you can do the math on what it is for like a 90-minute movie or whatever it may be. And I imagine, like, for Avatar 2, it must be insane, right? Like, there's just so much computer-generated stuff that to render that out, even with like the best computer farms and so forth, it's going to take a while, right? So I was joking, like, oh, I hope, the render doesn't mess up for them. Well, again, this is the benefit of the image sequence, that it's okay if it does, because in theory they can just pick up where it messed up. And then once they have that image sequence fully exported, then yes, you can marry the audio and the video, and boom, it's all done, right? And especially in the world of cinema, where now I'm really getting into to the thick of it, but ultimately, in order to deliver for theatrical, it goes through what's called a DCP process. DCP stands for Digital Cinema Package. And there, at the end of the day, the video, like what you give to them in terms of final assets, they're going to marry the stuff together. So like you can give the video and the audio separately, and they'll, through this process, essentially marry them together anyway, right? So for that, it really doesn't matter. So it's very interesting, in this way, like it is a tool not for the everyday video editing, but certainly in the high capacity, strong visual effects and things of that nature, it is a great benefit to export out image sequences instead of quote unquote videos, right? So I hope this helps you for your projects. If you have any questions or thoughts of your own, please comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Also, I just, as you can tell, I love chatting about this stuff. Like this is, I just love learning all the various aspects and techniques of post-production that help people. And so, let's chat down below, or hit me up on social media at Svitek, likewise there. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.